So Plastic Fantastic by Jay Wilburn. Big Billy Banger, known as Bad Billy, during his beta testing phase, stood in the middle of the street. Dark windows on the ragged houses on both sides stared down at him. A caretaker, maybe replacing a light or checking the storm shutters, leaned out the broken glass of one window. The top and back of his head were rusted through by the elements. As Billy eyed his opponent, he shifted one shiny boot and crunched a piece of glass bigger than his shin. Across from him, less than an overgrown lawn's length away, Slice lifted his sword in front of his bare chest. Though Billy Banger was armed with guns on each hip, Slice showed no fear. His tattoos were smeared and faded from the sun. His bare chest revealed his sculpted muscles all the way down to his thin waist. "This is the end of the line for you," Billy growled. He heard the phrase in his head in a child's voice, but could not remember the name of the boy who'd taught it to him. "It's the end for one of us," Slice replied. Billy mouthed the words along with his opponent. Billy drew. He pointed with a smooth, nailless finger from each curved fist. He shouted, "Bang, bang, bangity, bang." Slice moved his sword from side to side, answering each shot with ping, ping, ring, ping. "I think I clipped you with one of those," Billy said. Slice swiveled his head stiff from side to side and back to center. His blue eyes leveled on Billy as he said, "Maybe yesterday, but I got them all today." All right. "Fine," Billy said as he stalked forward. "I guess this comes down to hand again." Both combatants froze when the scratch of heavy footfalls passed the head of their street. Billy turned away from the showdown and watched the line of people strolling along the cross street through the intersection several doors down. Slice was now at Billy's elbow but made no move to attack. "Who are they?" Billy twisted his head from side to side with a light squeak. Excuse me, the pollen has done a number on me today. I shouldn't have gone outside. All right. Are they family? Are they a family, you think? Billy counted them again in his head. All right, yeah. Billy counted them in his head again as the last two passed the corner and disappeared behind wild, unkempt hedges. 7. There's 7 of them. More men than women, 2 kids. "A boy and a girl," Slice said. "What do you think?" "We should follow them." So they did. Their feet clicked along the street until they let me correct that, until they finally reached the curb. Both were careful to avoid the storm grate. Even though it was packed with wet leaves and old trash, they knew the spaces between were big enough for them to fall through. Here at the corner, the curb was higher than their heads. Both Billy and Slice had to walk out into the intersection under the dead signals to see the backs of the group. They're getting away," Slice said. "We need to keep up or we'll lose them." Both of them ran as fast as their small plastic legs would carry them. They cut underneath a rusted hulk of a car so they wouldn't have to detour around. On the other side, Billy got his boot caught between the ribs of an old blackened skeleton. "Help me." Slice slid to a stop. His bare feet were smooth on the bottom, so it was tough to turn around or stop quickly. He came back and helped Billy work his foot free. They almost missed the group's next turn at the abandoned hospital. When they got to the turn, the group of humans was gone. The pair of fighters turned in a circle under the concrete arches of the silent monorail. Vines and Spanish moss dipped down low from the gaps in the concrete sections. "We did lose. Let's say them. I'm not sure why I left that out the first time, but we did lose them," Billy said. The sprong. Let me change that. Sproing. The sproing sound drew closer. Both Billy and Slice knew who it was before the moldy kangaroo came into sight, bounding down the steps of the library toward them. "What's going on, fellas?" the kangaroo asked. "We saw humans," Slice said. "So did I. 7 of them, just now. Is it the same ones or 2 groups back in town?" Billy and Slice exchanged a look. Billy said, "Boinga, did you see which way they went?" He pointed down the street between them, past the front of the hospital. The group of humans were nowhere in sight. We lost them, Slice said. No, you didn't lose them, Boinga said. You just can't see them. That's what losing them means, you purple kangaroo, Billy said. I'm not purple. Then pink, Slice said. Doesn't matter because the humans are gone. I'm magenta, Boinga said, and you can't see them because they stepped into the hospital. I think you may have faded over time, Slice said. You look more pink to me. One of the men stepped out of the folded doors in the hospital. One by one, the others exited behind him. Let's say he was the tallest and broadest member of the group. Several scars marked his right bicep. It almost looked like a burn. All right, and instead of they, let me bring it back to the group. The group, and then we'll pick up from there. Hey, Clever, thanks for dropping in, man. I'm glad you're here. The group was. I changed the subject, and now the tense is all wrong. You gotta watch it. I'm my own worst enemy sometimes. The group was empty-handed. Billy could have told them there was nothing left in there. Look, the girl pointed. Okay, this would not be a comma then, because she's not doing a dialogue tag. All right, look. The girl pointed at the three of them standing in the shade of the Mono's cradle. This was a dangerous moment, and the three little friends stood still and quiet, even the noisy kangaroo. All right, put a comma in there because that's two complete clauses. One of the women grabbed the boy and girl by a shoulder each. Don't go near them. Neither child had made a move. They mumbled something back to the woman quietly. One of the men shook his head and said, if we ignore them, they'll go away eventually. If not, we'll finish breaking them. The group of humans turned away and kept walking. I don't think they want to play, Boinga said. I'm going to follow them. Billy started walking. They don't look like they're carrying play weapons either, Slice said, and waved his plastic sword from side to side to make his point. Billy kept going. Slice ran after him. Boinga looked longingly at the library steps for a long moment, but then he sprung after them. Too. Okay, that's fine. As they turned the corner, the humans had created distance. The road curved from side to side, with abandoned vehicles and other debris spilling over the shoulders into the pavement. Let's make it onto the pavement on both sides. And let's make that on from. Alright, nothing like micromanaging your prepositions. Alright, onto the pavement from both sides. It provided a long line of sight, so the plastic friends were able to track the humans. Billy didn't like the way the lead man kept looking back at them. He guessed it was Boinga's... Let me fix that typo. Boinga's bad spring that was most annoying. The humans stopped, but the trio kept coming. Boinga said, "Oh, they're going to kill her." That stopped everyone in their tracks. It took Billy a second or two more before he followed the group's attention to the open window of a better-kept house. The maid hung laundry over the sills to dry. The sheets were thin enough to see through, but she kept washing and drying them every week anyway. For a number of years, she still baked and left the pies on the same sill to cool until eventually she tossed them rotten and uneaten into the growing trash bin out back. She'd run out of ingredients, but still did the laundry faithfully. Billy couldn't blame her. He and Slice still played their fighting games every day for the same reason. That was the last thing they were told to do before there were no more humans left in town. The maid lifted her glowing eyes on the humans staring at her. After a pause, she waved. The little girl started to wave back, but then one woman pressed her little hand to her side. They're going to shoot that robot. the kangaroo said. Shut up, Slice whispered. We could live here, the boy said. They'll leave us alone if we leave them alone. With that, the group moved on, and no one was shot or broken yet. Billy and Slice moved too, and Boinga, let me make a comma there, and Boinga added the sharp pattern of his broken spring to their travel. The group made camp on the far edge of town. This is the farthest I've gone from the library in as long as I can remember, Boinga said. We should leave, Slice said low. Just a little longer, Billy whispered. They're not going to take us, and they're not going to stay, Slice said. We should break those things before nightfall just to be safe, one man raised his voice as the fire got started. He pointed with the tip of a knife at the trio out on the edge of the road opposite the group's camp, just in case the plastic friends were confused about who he was referring to. Alright, so far so good. We should go, Boinga said. I'll break just fine on my own one day. The other man reached out, touched the leader's wrist, and eased the point of the knife down. Just leave him. Enough broken stuff in the world. I'll take first watch. If they're still there by midnight, I'll scatter them before I wake you up for watch. Wake you for your watch. Just a little longer, Billy said. I'm not sure what he means by scatter, Boinga said, but I don't want to do that either. Besides, the second man added, they usually react if something dangerous is coming. As the humans occupied themselves with cooking, Slice asked, What's dangerous out here? What is he talking about? Don't worry about it, Billy said. How are we supposed to react to danger if we don't know what the danger is? Before Billy could answer, Boinga said, Something killed all the humans in town. Some of the bigger robots, too. Whatever that was, I think these humans are still scared of it. Hold on, let me wash down some pollen. Why didn't anyone tell us? Slice asked. Boinga said, What do you think happened to everyone? Slice was silent a long time and finally turned his attention the way of the firelight in the growing darkness. All right, that's fine. That sentence is a little awkward, but I think it's fine. As night drew on, the man on watch stood and stretched. We should go, Boinga said. I think it's scattering time. Just wait, Billy said. The man shifted from side to side. It appeared that he might have forgotten them. What the leader would do on his watch was to be seen. But then the watchman walked down the trail toward the trio. We should go for sure now, Slice said, but didn't move. Boinga said it's probably too late now. The man stopped short of the edge of the road by a few steps and towered over them. His face was lost in shadows backlit by the low embers of the campfire. What motivates you? He asked. A few seconds passed with no answer. As usual, Boinga found something to say. We follow the last instructions we were given. I wait too. I want to be sure I get this little piece of dialogue right. I wait to comfort shy children in the reading circles at the library. The maid washes the sheets no one uses. The marching band marches. These two play fight day after day. You're kind of a little philosopher there, Pink Kangaroo. I'm not pink, I'm magenta. That's not important, Billy whispers. Don't scatter us, Boinga said. Something shifted in the bushes to their right and to the human's left. He reached for a weapon on his hip, but there was nothing for him to grab. He cursed and then fell as a blur of silver struck him in the chest. The man tried to crawl away, but the thing from the bushes circled and struck on the ground. And struck him. Okay. And struck him on the ground. The man tried to scream, but only a squeak escaped his lips. What's happening? Bill asked. Should I say Billy? I've said Bill. Yeah, I'm going to make it Billy because I've said that all the way through. There's no reason to change his name now. What's happening? Billy asked. It's breaking him, Slice said. The small mechanical attacker was maybe 3 times taller than the plastic trio. It was made of reflective metal. Its body, not an apostrophe. Alright. Its body was rectangular and as flat as one of the picture books from the reading circle. It stood on the man's back with thin jointed legs that bent the wrong way from the pack animals it was designed after. Razor teeth within, all right, make that a compound word, within a head with no eyes tore open the back of the man's shirt. "What is that?" Billy asked. "It's a guardian," Boinga said. "How do you know that?" Slice asked. "I'm in the library all day," Boinga said. "I have nothing to do but read." "Why is it attacking him?" Billy took a step off the road onto the dirt, but no more. "Same as us," the kangaroo said. "It's following its last instructions before those who made it died." "Did it break all the other humans?" Billy asked. "Most of them, I think," Boinga said. "Probably the ones we knew. The ones we played with." Billy trailed off. Big Billy Banger tried to pull his little plastic guns for real. He stared down, wondering how he forgot they weren't real. He ran at the metal thing with his empty hands. Let's say plastic. Empty plastic hands. Alright, home stretch here. I don't know why there's a break here. I'm not sure I need that. Why would that have happened? Okay, I'm going to close that break. I'm editing mysteries into my own work, apparently. "This is the end of the line for you," Billy growled. He wished he could remember that little boy's name. Let's say the little boy's name. Wished he could remember the little boy's name who taught him that line. Alright. "It's the end for one of us," Slice replied. Billy mouthed the words along with his friend as he kept running into battle. "Someone help," Slice yelled, but no one else in camp stirred yet. Slice lifted his plastic sword and ran after Billy with his best war cry. Boinga hesitated. He even gave a sigh no one had programmed into him. Then he sproinged forward into the dirt after the others. As the metal killer went for the back of the man's exposed neck, make it seem more vulnerable, Billy jumped into the jaws. They closed on him but didn't bite through. The creature lifted its head slowly with Billy held gently between those teeth. "Go play somewhere else," Billy shouted. The guardian tossed the plastic thing aside. In the lull, the man rolled out from under it and shuffled away. The metal attacker charged, but tripped over another piece of plastic. "Be gone, monster," Slice cried as he tumbled through the dirt. The man tried to climb up from the ground, but his hand slipped off the wet trunk of a thin tree. Let's say, and his head bounced off of something in the dark. Alright. Boinga jumped into the man's lap and said, "Take a break, buddy. Would you like to hear a story?" The metal creature took the kangaroo in its teeth and shook it from side to side. This time it bit down hard. Let's say this time the metal teeth. Or razor teeth, because I've already said metal. This time the razor teeth bit down hard. Alright. So far so good. We really are in the home stretch now. Billy reached the scene and pounded his small fist against the creature's legs. "Leave him alone." Slice ran underneath it and stabbed uselessly at its metal belly. "I want to go," Boinga said in the creature's teeth. Slice's sword poked into a small hole on the bottom of the killer robot's frame near the front. Something clicked. The creature froze, its jaws opened, and it fell over. "It had a reset switch," Slice said. The man stared down at them as he heaved for breath. And blinked several times. His fingers let's say he touched the back of his head and His fingers came away bloody. All right. See if that makes sense. The man stared down at them as he heaved for breath and blinked several times. He touched the back of his head and his fingers came away bloody. Billy and Sly stood over the moldering, just to be fancy. All right. Billy and Sly stood over the moldering stuffing of Boinga, now on the outside of his soft body. His processors were exposed. 3 of his springs lay loose in the dirt. 1 spring was bent and discolored. Big Billy Banger thought about that awful sproing noise he would never hear again. Boinga, Billy said. I'm broken. Boinga's voice warbled out from his guts and not from his frozen mouth that hung open like, let's say, just. It's usually bad to put a just or a like into something, and I'm going to use both. Hung open just like the killer robot on its side next to him. I'm scattered. All the lights on the exposed electronics went dark. The camp, let's say, rose into. The camp rose into a frenzy of activity. Billy stood there with Slice at his side, not caring if he got broken. Seeker killer, one of the women whispered from a few feet away. She tried to pull the sleepy children behind her. What happened? The leader asked. Are there more? The man, who was still seated on his back, with his back to a tree, and the broken, scattered... I need to clear up this sentence. Hold on a second. The man who was still seated with his back to a tree and the broken, scattered magenta kangaroo between his boots rubbed the smear of blood between his fingertips. He spoke quietly. I probably need a comma there. I think that counts as a dialogue tag. He spoke quietly. These guys are coming with us. The boy just went on rubbing his eyes. I've already used just, so let me pull this one. It'll create balance in the universe, I think. The boy went on rubbing his eyes, but the little girl cheered.